Alright, so in this video I'll be sharing some tips on how to use scatter terrain along with the battle grid to make combat encounters more interesting and also speeding up the pace of combat. You can see an example here in the background. It's a simple encounter with and without scatter terrain. It makes things a lot more interesting, from my perspective at least. So if this subject sounds interesting to you, then stick around. Okay, so let's try and see what we can do with this battle grid here. Here we got a troll. So let's say we have our group of adventurers which have stumbled across this troll in the forest, and things are going to turn violent. As is, this is a fairly simple encounter, and there's not really much to do. Let's say it's a random encounter, so you hadn't really prepared for it. You just grabbed a mini out of the box and put it on the table, which is fine. But as is, this will probably just end up in something like a slugfest, where you just roll dice against some stats, and then eventually the troll or the players will die, which is not very exciting. But let's try and see if we can make it a little bit better without spending too much time on it. So I have a few rocks here, and as is right now, it is already a much more engaging encounter. We have something on the table which the players can navigate around. They can try and run around with if they are heavily wounded. They can try and maybe seek cover and try and attack from hiding. As a ranged user here, could be a benefit. Or maybe some of the players will get the idea that they can try and use the terrain for their advantage in, let's say, creative ways. Let's put it like that. So if we say this fighter here engages the troll over here and maybe takes a step back to get a better angle, then this guy here who has a large axe, he asks, if I scale this cliff here and then jump out into the air and slam my axe with both hands into the neck of the troll, will that do something beneficial? So, yeah, go ahead. Describe it for me. I might give advantage on the attack, or maybe give some extra damage because of the added weight to the attack by the gravity. It doesn't really matter too much, but now there is something to visually interact with on the table, and that makes everything a lot easier. But we can try and upgrade it a bit further. I have a few assets always near to where the grid is. So we put on some trees. There's a dead tree here. Let's put this one here. And maybe, let's say over here, there's actually a cave in here. So the players have stumbled upon the troll's cave by accident. Alright, now we've got a much more interesting scene already. And there is a lot more things that the players can interact with. Say, these two melee fighters here, they get really bloodied. They can try and escape this way in here. We have our rogue or ranger, which will be attacking from hiding. Maybe the troll isn't good at climbing rocks. Maybe it'll be pretty good at it because this is its natural habitat. But it doesn't matter too much. There are things the players can interact with, which makes the encounter much more engaging. And maybe it will also spark some creativity. So let's say we have this, I just threw it here. Let's say this mage here wants to cast Thunder Wave, targeting the troll. But if the trolls, let's say it's here at this moment, the mage casts Thunder Wave here, moving a lot of air in the process. Then there's this log. Maybe it will also be moved by the Thunder Wave. Maybe it'll hit an ally if the mage is unlucky. Maybe it'll hit the troll and just stub its toe, or maybe if he's really lucky, then it might even impale the troll. But it's something you can interact with. Maybe the troll will have something that you can come up with something on the fly that is protecting inside its cave, or when the players aren't here, you don't have to describe everything mentally like you have to do if you're just doing theater of the mind, which is a very great tool, by the way. But try and think about how much effort would it take for you to describe the scene here on the table right now. Like, it would take a lot of effort, and odds are not you and the players will be on the exact same page, meaning you'll have to answer a lot of questions. So where can I hide behind, what's in front of me, what's behind me, and so forth. So, but it didn't take long to set up, and we got a pretty good encounter here. But then try and see what happens once the items are removed again. Because this doesn't really take long. And well, now we're back to a super flat, boring encounter. So, which one would you prefer? Taking 30 seconds to throw on some rocks and pebbles and small twigs and the few trees that you've made? Like, I know what scene I would prefer, and I also know what scene is better for me as a game master to work with, because this takes a load off of my shoulders just by this very simple scene here. It helps me with rules. It helps the players interact with the scene and make it more engaging. And you can say it's empowering the players to be more descriptive in their approach to the game. So instead of just rolling a die, checking if you hit against the tables of said monster that you're encountering, now there is some description. How do you flank? How do you move? You have an idea about what terrain you're in, and it just makes for much more narratively pleasing encounters, at least from my experience. So I've heard this thing from actually quite a lot of very experienced game masters, that they see combat and especially a battle grid as something like an adversary, like it's something tedious that they really want to avoid. I can't see that at all. Actually, it's quite the opposite for me, because the grid is my friend. Like, it helps me with rules, it helps me describe things. It actually makes combat a lot more fluid and fast-paced, because everyone can see what's going on at the table. And players are better at forming strategies because they have something to interact with. They have something to see, something tangible on the table. And, well, all in all, it just makes things better, and it doesn't take that long to put on some scatter terrain, and then you're good to go. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, found some inspiration of your own, and perhaps even learned a thing or two. Should you be interested in supporting the channel, aside from just throwing a like and subscribing, then I'm a published author. I write books, I paint illustrations, and I got a few other things in the works as well. You can see some of my work at tscout.com. There you can also find links to social medias, as well as places where you can buy books and artwork. Any support will be greatly appreciated, even if it's just a click or two to help fight the algorithm. So thanks for watching once again. Hope to see you again soon.